Hello my garden friends, it's Beverly here and I am back in the garden today to add my final touches to the garden just before putting it to sleep. And what I will be doing today, I will be going in and adding some lovely eggshells to the garden. Then I will be planting my favorite crop, and that's my garlic. And finally, I will go in and add me some lovely mulch that I've gathered over the weekend. So for the eggshells, as you may know, eggshells are an incredibly powerful resource for any garden. They're loaded with calcium, phosphorus, nitrite, and a host of other trace minerals and nutrients, all of which are excellent for helping the soil and plants in your gardens. So for that reason, the eggshell, it's a precious commodity in my kitchen. I actually have a container sitting on the counter, and that's where we collect all these eggshells. These I've collected over the summer, so I want to get them in the garden to break down for the next 6 months over the winter. How I go about preparing my eggshell is I give them a good rinse in some warm soapy water. Then I rinse them and I leave them to dry. Now prior to coming out, I just stick them in the oven for about 10 minutes at 375 degrees, and then I go in with my finger and my glove here, and I break them down as fine as possible. I know for some people they tend to put them in maybe their NutriBullets and so forth, but for me I just crumble it as fine as I possibly can. For these, I want them to break down in the garden over time. They do not all have to break down this winter. I'll be using this garden for many years to come, so they can slowly break down over time. So this is good enough for me. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and I'll add this to the garden. And just to work that down a bit in the garden, I will give it a slight rake. Now it's time for me to go ahead and plant my favorite crops, which are my garlic. And for the garlic, I'm looking for the biggest cloves I can find. Anything that's small and soft, I would rather not plant, as I would like for the end result to be some quite huge bulbs. So the bigger the bulbs, the bigger the buds should be from my crops. So to give you an example of what I'm looking for, I'll just go through and open up a few cloves. Based on these cloves that I've pulled apart, and this is a perfect size clove that I'm looking for. That's the size I'm looking for to put in my garden. This is another perfect size. For this one, I will definitely pass on this. It's too small. And for anything that's soft, I will definitely not plant. Now that I've selected some of my favorite cloves, I now go ahead and get these garlic in the ground. And for the garlic, I need to plant them 1 inch to 3 centimeters above the point of the tip. And I will be planting them about 4 inch to 10 centimeters apart. And I'll be doing just 1 row to the edge of my bed. If you're doing more than 1 row, then you would plant them 12 inch to 30 centimeters apart per row. All right, so let's get started and get these garlics in. So this is my tool. I just thought it would be a handy thing to just get down in the ground to get me my 1 inch in the ground, and just drop my garlic in. So my very first clove would be right at this spot, and this is such a purpose, works so well. All right, so that's that there. I'm going to drop my garlic in with the tip up. That's number 1. Come on to number 2. Give me another. Another clove, making sure my tip is up. And I like to have these at the front because this is one of the first crop I will be harvesting come June. No, let's just correct this one. I think I wasn't paying attention and I put this one in wrong. So yeah, this one, yeah, the tip. Yeah, and again, the tip is to the upwards. I will now go ahead and cover them. I'll just put me a little one somewhere right here. So that's a brief demonstration to show you how I go about planting my garlic. Also, let me remind you that garlic, like a lot of sun, it likes well-drained soil. So me having it to the very front here, we will definitely be getting a lot of sun, and with all the compost that I've been adding, it's the soil will be well drained, and those are the conditions that garlic thrives under very well. Now that these are in the ground, I'm going to give them a good watering. You may see shoot before winter actually set in, but I doubt that will happen for me as I will be going ahead right after planting these and giving the bed a good mulch. So I may not see any shoot until come April, May. I will continue on with the planting of the bulb. With my garlic being in the ground, all that's left is for me to wait patiently. The roots will be forming to anchor themselves into position, ready to grow away come spring. Garlic has very thin, sharp leaves once they get going. So when spring arrives, I will need to stay on top of watering and feeding them. The watering is very important because this allows the bulb to swell and result in bigger bulbs. Now I will move on to the next and final step of putting the bed together prior to putting it to sleep, and that is mulching. For me, preparing the mulch was quite interesting. I've always known that leaf is a precious commodity. It's quite valuable commodity. So I normally break them every year and put some in my compost bin. The others I would store to add to my compost throughout the year. But after doing my research, I have learned that you can actually break your leaves down um, even to pretty small particles, which allow them to break down much faster. Um, Actually, what I've experienced from adding them to my compost is that they take roughly a year to break down. So I didn't want leaves flying around in my garden, for a year, taking a while to break down. But after doing my research, I've discovered that a good way to combat that and to break your leaves down even further is to just run the lawnmower right over the leaves. So I tried that last week. I thought it would be messy, but it turns out really, really well. Mind you, my leaves were damp because we had rain a few days, so they were damp. But all I had to do was spread them out on the lawn, run the lawnmower back and forth, and I was surprised to see how fast they were broken down. Okay, and then I gather them in the bag on the lawnmower and I just dump it out. I had it stored in my brown bag and I can see that they are already breaking down. So this is the lovely gold, and I consider this as gold. This is the beautiful gold that I've come up with. And what I did do, I went ahead and I cut my lawn. But it needed a bit of cutting, surprisingly, at this time of the year. So I cut the lawn and I've added the clippings. So I think this is just a pot of gold, which is going to make my soil so rich. And I do not see why I shouldn't have me some really healthy, huge crops come next year. So with that being said, let's go add the compost and finish this task. Yes, so isn't that already looking rich? Wow, that looks like a pot of gold. Yeah, so with the mulching done, I can finally put this bed to rest for the winter, as I've added as much nutrients as I possibly can. I've added my compost, homemade compost that is. I've added cow-manure. To see how I go about adding the compost and the cow-manure, you can check out the video in the right hand corner. I've added me some eggshells, and I've done the final step of mulching the bed with my leaves, leaf mulch, and my grass clippings. I will now put the bed to sleep over the winter and let it does its thing, and come spring I'm sure I will be ready to start planting as soon as spring gets here. So I'm gonna wrap this video up. Thanks for your time. If you like the video, please go ahead, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself.